everybody. Ben Nelson here. Hope you are having a fantastic day and a fantastic holiday season as we're getting really close to Christmas here. Hopefully you're getting a little bit of time to relax and spend some time with family and enjoy this time of year and the holidays and all of that brings. Although you could argue for sure that it's maybe a little bit more hectic this time of year. But in either case, hope you're enjoying the season. Hope you enjoy this next couple weeks, Christmas and New Year's. And although we obviously have great things going on right now, celebrating the season, the reason for the season, spending time with family, all of that wonderful, those wonderful things. It's also a great time as we're approaching the end of the year to reflect on this last year. How has this year gone for you? Has it gone as planned? What's gone well? What hasn't? All of those things, and then look forward to the new year and what we can do better and different and improve upon in the new year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, some questions to ask, some things to be looking at as you're doing your debrief and planning ahead. And if you don't do that, you got to do it. You got to do it. You have to spend the time. I know we're all busy, but that little bit of time that you are stepping back to reflect and debrief and look at those things, it's going to let you make those adjustments that you need to make moving forward so you can be more effective in the future. So if you're not currently doing that in your business or in your personal life, I can't encourage you enough to take the time to do that. Go sit by yourself, spend half a day, even a full day if you can get away with it, and really work through some of these questions. You'll probably come up with a number on your own as well, a number of questions personal to you in your scenario that you just need to ask yourself and you need to spend the time answering. So we're going to go over I'm really just going to go through my list of questions that I ask. This is absolutely not my full list. I'm still actually adding because I continue to think of new questions to ask myself as I'm reflecting and trying to plan for the future. So one of the things I wanted to just kind of mention, we're in the middle of World Cup, almost at the end. My team, I don't know why I gravitated towards Croatia. I love the way their style of play, and just a lot of things about their team. Anyway, they were knocked out, but the World Cup is still going on. And just watching some of the games and just thinking of the game of soccer. I love soccer. I played soccer my whole life and don't play it enough now, but busy with family and other things and business, but love the game. And if you watch the game, and people that don't watch soccer and don't understand soccer don't really, they think it's a slow game. They don't really see what is boring, all that stuff. But a big part of what they do is they're setting up, right? They're setting up for it's a lot like chess, where you have to think several moves ahead, and they're doing that out on the field, and they're looking for that space, and they're working together to move the defense away from the space where they want to be, so that they can create a space for them to take advantage of that breakdown of the defense, right? And I was thinking about it, and I think that just a parallel to that in real life is that you have to be looking out and putting yourself in the right position to take advantage of opportunity, right? So, as a striker in soccer, you have to be you're not running the whole time necessarily. And this is funny because it's one of the, again, if you don't know anything about soccer, I apologize, but one of the best players in the world, Messi for Argentina, he. One of the knocks on him, I guess, is that he walks a lot. Well, it's not that he's lazy. It's not that he doesn't want to run. It's that he's looking for the right opportunities to make the run. He's looking for the right openings in the defense. He's looking for places to exploit and take advantage of the defensive breakdowns, right? So a lot of it's analysis. A lot of it's reflecting on what's going on around you and figuring out where you can best put your strengths to take advantage of that and find the opportunity. So hopefully you find the parallel in that. If you don't, I'm not going to spell it. No, seriously though, it's like that in real life. You have to look. If you don't take the time and you're not aware of your surroundings and what's going on around you and the state of the economy and the state of the market and your own mental attitude and all of those things you have to be paying attention to and aware of, or you're not going to be able to take advantage. You might still be successful, but you are going to be working a lot harder to make that happen, and you're probably going to miss opportunities. So positioning yourself is a huge part of being successful and finding and taking advantage of those opportunities that are out there. And that's what this does when you sit down and do this and take the time to reflect and debrief and then look forward. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's dive into some questions. Again, these are just some of the questions that I go through when I'm reflecting. I'm going to talk about the ones that I reflect on the prior year, and then I'm going to jump into some of the ones when I am planning ahead. And some of them kind of mesh together, but again, these are definitely not all of the questions you want to ask, but this is kind of to get your started in the right direction, your brain turning, and you probably should answer some of these specifically, but come up with some of your own just based on your own scenario and what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so this is a big one for me. In what ways have I progressed towards my larger goals? So I don't always hit my goals. A lot of people don't. I think personally that you almost shouldn't hit your goals, because that you want to set, and I'm you get all sorts of theories around this and how to set goals. I definitely am kind of right in the middle. You don't want to set goals that are just super easy to achieve because you're not pushing yourself. Yeah, it feels good to accomplish them, but if you're accomplishing and reaching your goal every single year on everything, you're not setting the bar high enough. At the same time, you don't want to set it so high that you just can't mentally grasp actually hitting the goal. And I'm all for shooting for the stars and landing on the moon and that whole mentality, but sometimes it can deter you from actually achieving it, because you just can't picture yourself actually, you put the number on the board or whatever, and I'm going to hit this goal, but it's way beyond what you've ever accomplished and what you're set up for mentally or physically in your business or whatever. And so you're really setting yourself up for disappointment, and failure is all you're doing. So I'm all for, I set mine at a threshold that I'm probably not going to hit it, but I'm going to get pretty close. So I'm okay falling short of my goals. I want it to be falling short of a good goal that I'm going to hit, but I don't want to set a goal that I'm just going to be discouraged. Come March, April, I'm just way behind and there's no way I'm going to catch up, right? And maybe you find that motivating. I don't know if you're that far behind and you got to play catch up the second half of the year, but everybody ticks differently. But that's where I come from with that. Is set it high, set it a little bit beyond what you think a little bit beyond what you can reach. And if you hit it, awesome. Keep pushing that bar, but don't set it so high that you're discouraging yourself. And you're just going to not take the steps that you need to take because you just don't feel like you can actually hit it. So we only take action on items that we actually think we can achieve. So make sure that you mentally believe and think that you can achieve it. Okay, that was a long little sidebar on that. But so in what ways have I progressed towards my larger goals? And then flip that around and I ask, what did I fail at in progressing towards my larger goals? Because this gets you thinking on, what didn't you do? I think you need to look at your successes, but you also need to look at your failures, because then you can dig deeper into some of these other questions. Is why did that happen, right? So in what ways have I progressed towards my goals? Let's look at the positive. Maybe I didn't hit them, but and it may be something small. Maybe you didn't get nearly as far as you wanted this year. That's okay. Look for the pieces that you did do. And I have a piece of my business that I didn't progress nearly as much as I wanted to, hardly at all this year. But I did. In some little ways, I did make some progress. Not what I wanted to, but I'm going to look at the positive pieces, and then I'm going to look at where did I fail, what did I not do that I said I was going to do, and then how do I change that going into the new year, right? What can I do differently in 2023 in this new year to make more progress towards these? Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. Kind of breaking down what you did, what you didn't do, and then what can you do differently to make more progress. This you'll find this theme in a lot of mine, because I've mentioned, I think, on the podcast before, and I'm definitely not an expert at implementing it, but trying to get better all the time. You hear me mention Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, and I am trying to implement this in my business and in my life even more, more and more, because I think it's a very effective way to really focus in on what's the most important thing. So what's the one thing for this year for each area of your business, for each sector of your business, for each area of your life, right? So that's what's the one thing. Break it down to one thing, and then we're going to get into that later, how we're going to break that down further, right? Okay, what can I do differently in 2023 to have better balance and less stress? This one for me, I definitely don't feel overly stressed. There are times I think that everybody feels that stress, but I want to live and I want to grow my business at the same time, but I don't want to grow my business at the detriment to my mental health and be stressed out all the time, and not be short with my family and just not be in a good mood. That's not worth it to me. So that's a big thing to me. How can I set my business up? What can I do differently in my business, in my life, in my routine, in my schedule, in my systems, all of those things to have better balance? And I don't think balance is probably the right word. I even put it in quotes in my, quotations in my notes, because life balance I don't think is a real thing. I think that's, I swear I coined the phrase before I ever heard Anthony Robbins say it, but I believe in like work. There's no such thing as work-life balance, because typically you're at work more than you are at home. It's just the way that the world works and the way that most people have to run their work or their business. It's more about work-life integration, right? So I don't think balance is the right word there necessarily, but the whole point is, how can I have better, less stress and set myself up to be able to do the things that I need to do, but not be overwhelmed, when I'm needing to do them. This is one that has to do specifically with business, that the finance side of it. Where can I spend more? Where can I spend less? And actually I said finance, but in my notes it's time, money, energy, etc. Right? So we spend all of those things. We spend money on our business, marketing, and employees, and office space, and all sorts of things that we have money that we spend on. We spend time on things. We spend energy and other resources on things to get results in our business. And in our personal lives, right? So where can you spend more of those things, where should you spend more? Where should you be spending more time? What should you be doing more? And what should you be doing less? And what should you be spending less on? Are there things in your marketing that didn't work, that you need to pull a plug on? Are there things that you are heading a different direction in your business, or that you think will be more effective, and you need to spend more money on that or more time on that, right? One of my things this next year is to be more involved in my social media and being and spending more time on that. So that's a time commitment, but it's something that I didn't spend a lot of time on myself. I had people doing it for me, and I still will have some people helping me with some of that, but I need to spend more time on that as well. So kind of evaluating where you spent time, money, energy, where you need to continue doing that, and where you need to make a change. What do I need to let go of? This could get, I'm not going to get real deep on it, but it could go real deep real quick, right? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to add into your life? What do you need to double down on? What do you need to grab hold of? These are big picture questions. And again, a lot of these are just to kind of get your mind going and thinking of some other questions that you could ask yourself. Where do I need to push or challenge myself? Where do I need to give myself grace? What are some new habits that I need to create, and what are some old habits that I need to lose? This one to me is really important, that it's not a New Year's resolution. New Year's resolutions don't work. You decide to, January 1, do something different. You have to be. It can't be. I believe in life change and in habit change, not New Year's resolutions. Just New Year's resolutions are just almost they're a wish, right? I mean, that's the thing with any goal is really, you can put whatever you want on paper, but if you're not committed to it and willing to take action on it, then it's a dream. It's not a goal, right? So be careful that when you're answering questions like that you're not just putting a New Year's resolution out there, that you're committed and you have action steps to actually change those habits that you want to change. And just a quick sidebar there too. A new year is an arbitrary time to do this, right? Everybody does, or you should do this type of thing at the end of every year. But there's no saying you can't do this in the middle of the year. If you need a reset it's March, sit down and do this. Sit down and, maybe you don't ask all these questions, and I'm all for I do a monthly review myself and a quarterly review, because it's important to see where are you at, are you on track or not, and what kind of you don't want to make an adjustment. You don't want to get to the end of the year and be like, oh shoot, I wasn't even close and I didn't know, right? So you could have adjusted partway through the year, and instead you waited till the end. So it doesn't really, it's an arbitrary time frame. We have calendars, we have annual year, we have years, right? So we choose to do it at the end of the year. Do it whenever you feel like you need to do it and get a better sense of where you're at and where you need to be heading, right? Okay. Okay, this is a big question. What's the biggest thing that needs to change from this past year going into the next year? The biggest thing that needs to change. And I want you to just pick one. And then what I do is I go from there. Again, those are I'm going to add a bunch more to that on mine when I go through this. But I break everything down into 5 different sections, 5 different parts of my life. And then I delve into each of those areas and do a review on those areas. How did this last year go? And then I would jump into what do I want 2023, this new year, to look like. So faith, spiritual life, family, finances, health, and business. Faith, family, finances, health, and business. Those are and really in that order. And I kind of asked the same general questions in all of those. How did this last year go? Did it go how I wanted it to? What were my goals? Did I hit my goals? If I didn't, why didn't I hit my goals? What do I want? What's the one thing that I want to do this next year in this part of my life? And I break that down. And then in my business, especially, finances and business there's a lot of numbers in there, right? So I'm looking at, net worth at the beginning of the year, net worth at the end of the year, looking at, my sales numbers, my, gross sales, my revenues, my number of sales, my average sales price, where did my business come from, what were my sources, all of that stuff. On the business side is super important to know where your business came from so that you can invest more in that in the next year. And again, to know, well, shoot, I was doing this and I got one sale from that, one transaction, and I spent I didn't even pay for itself, right? So if you're not looking at that stuff, you don't know, and you can just be burning capital that you could be putting towards something else. So that's the gist of my review. Again, this takes probably half a day to get through because I really want to dig deep. I really want to look at my numbers. I track my numbers through the whole year. So it's not very hard for me to pull up my numbers. I look at them on a regular basis. I try to do it every morning. It doesn't happen every morning, but just to kind of get a refresh where I'm at and where I need to go. And then from here, I jump into my 2023, my goals for the year, right? And so a lot of this is similar. The last one was looking in the rearview mirror. This is looking ahead. And so I'll just jump into some of these again to get your mind headed in the right direction for what to ask yourself in your review. So what's the biggest thing going into the new year that you want to see happen? I kind of phrase, so here another way to look at that is, what does the end of the year, what does the end of this new year look like? Think ahead a year from now, and what does the year need to look like? Where do you need to be in a year for you to consider this last year to be successful? And again, that's going to, and I want you to think of that in all those areas. Where's your family life going to be? What's your relationship with your spouse and your kids? What does that look like? What does your financial life look like? How has that changed? What does your business look like? How has that changed? What direction has that gone? What does that need to look like? Visualize where you want to be in a year, and define that. Define where you need to be in order for the year to be considered successful. Again, in the high level, in my business, I'm going to be looking at how many sales do I want. What's my target number of sales? What does my average price per sale need to be to hit my gross sales number that I want to hit? And within this, so a lot of, especially numbers goals, and you want to definitely have goals, but you have to be a little fluid in how that looks. And what I mean, I'll give you an example. So my colleague Anita and I were delving a lot more into commercial and apartment space, and just we have experience in that, and we've been serving a lot of residential investor clients, but we want to be able to serve apartment owners. So we're really wanting to move that. We're really moving that direction, and we're excited about it. And we've been talking to people that own buildings in the area and going down that road. So context there for a reason, because if I have a gross sales number that I'm trying to hit, yes, we have our target that we're marketing to certain size buildings, things like that. But when you're in that space, there's a huge range of, you could talk to someone that has 5 units, or you could talk to someone that has 50 units, right? And so if I have a gross sales number, that is very hard to say how many owners am I going to work with, right? Because we could get a call from someone that owns a 40-unit apartment building, and we end up working with them this year, which is great. That would be great. That's a goal of ours, is to be working with people like that, right? But that's very different. That looks very different than if we work with a bunch of people with 5 or 6 unit buildings, which is also fine, right? But it's hard to say how many people do we need to work with. That could change throughout the year based on the kind of feedback we're getting, the kinds of people we're able to connect with. And again, you can hone in on that by really just targeting what you're going after. But again, there needs to be some fluidity to that when you don't know exactly what you're going to be working with. And I said the same thing, I don't remember which one, a while back, about when you have these goals and you have things you're going after. You don't know what kind of sellers you're going to be talking to. You can have certain types of sellers you're going after, but you can't try to fit what your goals are with a seller. Well, like I want to buy 2 properties, seller finance this year. Well, okay, you can target people that are higher likely to have that, but you can't force people into that box, because maybe that's not the right scenario for them, or maybe they're not open to that. And if you're only looking at that scenario, well, you're going to probably pass on stuff that could be a deal in another way, but you're so busy looking at, well, I only want it to look this way because that's what I'm after, that you miss other opportunities. So hopefully you get the point there. Be flexible, have an idea, but be flexible about what that looks like. Okay, and then I move on from there. I look at, I have high-level goals that kind of break down where I want business to come from. I have my goals for all 5 of those areas. I'm gonna break down, what do I want my faith, my family, my finances, all of those, my health and my business, all of those to look at. Within business, I have several business entities so I sit there and break that down for each one of those. What kind of business do I want to do within those? What are my goals within those? What do I want the business to be at the end of the year? All of that stuff. So you're looking ahead, you're setting your goals, you're setting your numbers, and then set your action items. And then this goes back to the one thing that I mentioned earlier, where and actually I've not done this before, just if I'm being honest, to this level, and I'm looking forward to doing it moving into this year because I think it's going to be a game changer. So what is the one, so for all of those areas, for each business, for your personal life, for your health, for all of those categories, work it backwards and start with what's the one thing in that area that you want to happen in that area of your life, in that business, this year. What's the one thing that would make the biggest difference? And and within the business context, the question is, what's the one thing that such by doing it, everything else becomes easier or not irrelevant, but that you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? Everything else becomes easier, or you don't need to do it, right? So what's the one thing that you want to happen this year in your business, or in your personal life, in your finances, for it to be considered a successful year? And then break that down and back it. And what's the one thing for the next month, right? So this is again, goes back to doing this on a regular basis. So each month you're going to say the same thing. What's the one thing that needs to happen this month to be able to make progress in this area, in this business, in this part of my life? And then break it down from there. What's the one thing this week? So every week you're asking the same question and you're saying, what's the one thing that needs to happen for me to be making progress in this part of my life towards my goals? And then on a daily basis as well. And that sounds like a lot of work, but it keeps you focused. It keeps you focused on what actually is important and what you need to get done, so you don't get lost in the nuances of and everything else that's going on in your day and week and month. That's going to pull you away from that. So if you can get that one thing done, and then mentally just knowing if you can get that one thing done, then everything else falls around that, right? So if you feel that sense of I did the thing that I know is going to help me progress towards my goals, instead of pushing that back or not even knowing what it is, you make that the priority. And okay, no matter what, I'm going to get this done today, and no matter what, I'm going to get this done this week, and see that through. Then there may be some other things that don't happen, but you did the thing. Make sure that's the thing that happens. Those are the things that happen. And instead of pushing those to the back and then doing everything else, and then those things are the things that fall through the cracks, right? That's what happens when we don't have clarity and we don't have that clear vision of what that one thing is for each area, is that it just doesn't happen. Everything else gets in the way. There's always stuff to do. There's always people that need help that we need to talk to. There's always fires to put out. You have to shut all that out and make sure that you're doing that. Stuff needs attention, absolutely, but you need to make sure the one thing is happening as a priority. That's what makes it the one thing, right? And by the way, if you have not read that book, I highly recommend that you read The One Thing by Gary Keller. Excellent book, quick read. I've read it a few times. Again, still working on implementation and making it happen and doing it on a regular basis. We're all, trying to, again, that's why we're doing this, right? We'll try to improve. What's the one thing I can do this year to be more effective? Be using the one thing method more often, I guess, right? So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. I am super excited about this new year. There's going to be challenges, but within challenges, there are always opportunities. And by opportunities, I mean opportunities to help people get from where they are to where they want to go, or from where the situation they're in to where they need to be. And there's going to be people that are not sure what to do. The market's changed. We peaked in May here in a lot of markets, but we're down about 10% in the Portland metro area. If you bought your house recently, you're underwater, and more than likely, if you put it just a little bit down. So there's going to be people that need help, and we can help them. We just need to be in the right mindset, the right position to be able to do that. And it starts right here with reviewing where our last year was, looking forward to this next year. What are our goals? How many people do we want to help in their situations so that we can achieve our goals and help them get where they're trying to go as well, right? Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want, and that's what we're out to do. So take some time to do this. Please don't set it aside. spend some time, spend a whole day if you can, reflect on this last year, look forward to next year, and make it a great 2023. Thanks again.